Behind your back, they're not gossiping. They're in awe of your determination, your ability to keep going even when the odds were stacked against you, and your refusal to let life's setbacks define you. They're not tearing you apart when you're not around. They're talking about how you've risen above challenges that would have broken most people. They're astonished by your resilience. You fear the worst, but behind your back, they're not mocking you. They're discussing how you've turned every trial into triumph and how you seem to come out stronger each time. While you think they're spreading rumors, they're actually admiring how you've transformed your life, how you've taken control of your destiny and turned every obstacle into a stepping stone. Behind your back, they're not speaking ill of you. They're fascinated by how you've managed to turn your struggles into your greatest source of strength. They talk about how unstoppable you've become. You believe they're talking about your flaws, but if you heard them, you'd know they're in awe of how far you've come. They're discussing your ability to rise, to grow, and to thrive. What you think are whispers of judgment are actually conversations about how you've inspired them. Behind your back, they're admiring your courage, your drive, and your unbreakable spirit. They're not focusing on your mistakes. They're talking about your comeback, how you've turned every failure into a lesson, and how you continue to rise above everything that was meant to hold you down. Behind your back, they're not criticizing you. They're wondering how you've managed to stay so strong, how you've faced every challenge with such grace, and how you refuse to give up. You think they're speaking negatively, but in reality, they're talking about your strength, your perseverance, and your ability to turn adversity into an opportunity for growth. They're not judging you, they're amazed by you. They may not say it to your face, but behind your back, they're admiring how you've turned your pain into power. They speak about how you've become a symbol of resilience and strength. The conversations you fear are happening behind your back are actually filled with awe. They're talking about how you've stayed true to yourself despite everything, and how your authenticity shines brighter than anything else. While you think they're tearing you down, they're actually discussing how much they admire your ability to keep going, to never give up, and to face each new challenge head on. They might not be able to say it out loud, but behind your back, they're recognizing your transformation. They're amazed by how you've turned your struggles into your greatest strength. You're afraid they're gossiping, but the truth is, they're talking about how you've become a force to be reckoned with. They're amazed by your strength, your determination, and your ability to rise above. Behind your back, they're not focusing on your failures. They're talking about your successes, your ability to turn even the darkest moments into opportunities for growth. They may not admit it to you, but when you're not around, they're talking about how much they wish they had your strength, your resilience, and your courage to face life's challenges. The whispers you hear are not what you think. They're talking about how you've become someone they never imagined you could be. Someone stronger, more determined, and more unstoppable than ever. Behind your back, they're not tearing you down. They're lifting you up, discussing how you've overcome every obstacle with grace and how you've become someone they deeply admire. You fear they're talking about your past, but what they're really doing is marveling at how you've left it behind and how you've grown into someone who refuses to be defined by their mistakes. They're not criticizing you when you're not around. They're discussing how you've managed to turn every failure into a lesson, how you've turned your pain into purpose. You might think they're talking about your weaknesses, but the truth is they're in awe of your strength. They're talking about how you've turned every setback into a comeback and how you refuse to give up. Behind your back, they're not gossiping. They're amazed by how you've managed to transform your life, how you've taken control and refused to let anyone or anything hold you back. They may not say it to your face, but behind your back, they're discussing how you've become someone they deeply admire, how your strength and resilience have inspired them more than they'll ever admit. The whispers you hear aren't what you think. They're talking about how you've defied the odds, how you've managed to rise above every challenge, and how your spirit refuses to be broken. They may be talking about you behind your back, but what they're saying isn't what you'd expect. Their words are filled with admiration for your strength, your kindness, and your ability to rise above everything thrown your way. You think they're tearing you down, but in reality, they're stunned by your resilience. They're discussing how you're the one person who refuses to be broken, no matter how tough things get. It's easy to assume the worst when you hear people are talking behind your back. But what if they're talking about your courage, your integrity, and the way you've inspired them without even realizing it? Behind closed doors, your name keeps coming up, but not in the way you fear. They're in awe of how you handle yourself with grace, how you walk through storms with your head held high. While you may think they're spreading rumors, what they're really doing is acknowledging how you've transformed in ways they never thought possible. They're talking about your growth, not your flaws. You might feel betrayed, but if you could hear their conversations, you'd be surprised. They're talking about how much they secretly admire your heart, your work ethic, and your ability to keep going when others would give up. They say they talk about you, and your mind rushes to the worst conclusions. But the truth is, they're talking about how you've defied the odds, how you've exceeded everyone's expectations. You're convinced they're gossiping about your mistakes, but in truth, they're marveling at your ability to learn from them, to rise from the ashes of every setback you've faced. Yes, they're talking about you behind your back, but they're not judging you. They're celebrating the things that make you unique. They're discussing your strengths, not your weaknesses. You might think they're criticizing you, but their conversations revolve around your authenticity, your realness in a world full of fakes. They're saying you're the one who dares to be different. You've heard whispers and you assume the worst. But if you could hear what they're really saying, you'd be amazed. They talk about your unwavering spirit, your fierce loyalty, and your determination. The rumors aren't what you think. They're saying that your strength is unparalleled, that you never back down from a challenge, and that you're someone they can't help but respect. You've always worried about what others say when you're not around, but if you could listen in, you'd realize they're speaking about your perseverance, your ability to shine in the darkest of times. They're not tearing you down. They're lifting you up in ways you can't even imagine. They talk about how much they secretly wish they had your confidence, your resilience, and your fire. Behind your back, they're talking, but it's not negativity they're spreading, it's awe. They can't believe how much you've changed, how you've grown into someone unstoppable. It's true, they're talking about you when you're not in the room, but what they're really saying would shock you. They're speaking about how you've defied every expectation and silenced your doubters. You've been so worried about what others think, but if only you knew. They talk about how you've risen, how you've found a way to be strong when most would have crumbled. They're not mocking you. They're in awe of how you've handled everything that life has thrown your way. They talk about how much you inspire them, even when they don't tell you to your face. Behind your back, they're not tearing you apart. They're wondering how you do it all. They're trying to figure out your secret, the one that keeps you going when most would have given up. What they're saying about you when you're not there isn't what you think. They're talking about your ability to persevere, your refusal to give up even when everything is stacked against you. You may think they're discussing your failures, but in reality, they're talking about how you turned those failures into stepping stones for success. They can't help but admire your grit. They've been talking about you behind your back, and while you might think it's bad, they're actually discussing how you've become someone they secretly aspire to be like. You're afraid of their judgment, but behind your back, they're confessing how much they wish they could be as brave as you. They're saying things they'd never have the courage to say to your face. The whispers aren't what you think. They're in awe of your ability to stand tall, to stay true to yourself in a world that's constantly trying to change you. Behind your back, they're not tearing you down. They're celebrating your resilience. They've been watching your journey, and they can't help but admire how far you've come. They may not tell you to your face, but when you're not around, they're talking about your strength, your unwavering determination, and the way you've inspired them without even realizing it.